just so cool in the front row. Now then.
That's the most awkward.
Dude, my first year, I had this big tall thing on wheels, and I would sit on it, and I could move it around the class. And it used to freak kids out because I'd want them to do their own work, and they'd be like raising their hand, and so it'd take me like 5 minutes to wiggle this thing around the corner and down to wherever they were at. So one day a kid got pissed off and waiting for me, and this other kid was just coming in from the bathroom, and then as he was coming in, he heard his friend, and so he kind of held the door open and was like, "Hey, what's up?" And this kid jumped up and grabbed me and rolled me out and down the hallway. But I taught them. I spent the rest of the period kind of sitting on that thing until I weaked my way back here. People came down the hallway. "What are you doing?" "Nothing." Now then, Mr. McCain on television yesterday on the news said that in response to questions about people at McCain and or Palin rallies who, when Mr. Obama's name came up, were saying things like "kill him" and "he's a terrorist" and "off with his head" and all this other silly stuff. Mr. McCain said, "Well, I've heard exactly the same things about me at Obama rallies." Which, first of all, he don't go to Obama rallies, which means it would have been on television. If it was on television, we all would have heard it. And, hey, shut up. And if he had any footage of that, since he's running a campaign based on saying what's wrong with Mr. Obama, that would be in the commercials. So the unfortunate conclusion that we must draw is that Mr. McCain's just lying. And this is a dangerous lie, because what it is in response to one guy saying, "Hey, you're saying you're just going to kill him." He is saying, "Well, you're just saying you're going to kill me," which is irresponsible rhetoric, which I swear to you is going to lead to some nutcase going from these inappropriate words to inappropriate action. Now, one of the main and most important things about America that makes us, sorry to say it, but better than all these third-rate shitholes around the country, around the planet, is this. We have always known how to switch from that government to the next government. We've always been able to do that. If you think back to world history, the Romans couldn't do it. They had a civil war every time the emperor died, almost every time the emperor died. That's what shredded Rome. It probably would still be here if they could have figured out how to transfer power. In 1994, when Newt Gingrich, happens to be a Republican from Georgia, issued his famous Go Pack memo, which included instructions that anytime you are in a disagreement with a Democrat, some of the words you should use against them include the word traitor. If you disagree with me on anything, you are a traitor against this nation. That is, that's the trigger that leads to what you see today. Because remember, if people are going to believe that the other side are traitors, when it comes to the point that the other side, in this case, in the polls anyway, is winning, some of those people are going to feel like, "Oh my God, it's barbarians at the gate. The evil ones have arrived, and they're lying, cheating, and stealing." It is ridiculous to me that so many people on the right think that people on the left apparently are having children because they want to watch them die in terrorist attacks that they can't wait to happen, because, all rational people just want to die. That's why they buy a house, so they can burn in it. It's just effing ridiculous. And it's irresponsible. And it's one of the reasons I feel about the right the way that I do. What it means to us, though, tonight is the last debate between Mr. McCain and Mr. Obama. In the last, can you take my nose? Okay. Am I on? Is it live? Is it recording me? It's recording me live? Oh man, I got a big one. I am a toothpick ninja. No! In the last debate, as I predicted, Mr. McCain, in the beginning, he came up with a new idea, which in this case had to do with homeowners and foreclosures. Mr. Obama had no answer to that. So that was like the high point for Mr. McCain in the debate. The other thing people expected in that debate was that since on his campaign speeches and her campaign speeches and in commercials and such, he'd been so harsh on Mr. Obama's associations with Mr. Ayers and in the past with Pastor Wright and such, that he was going to bring some of that into the debate. And it never happened. And after that on the news, there was some footage of Mr. Obama basically doing what Democrats are reputed to not do very well, which is stand up for himself. And of course he didn't say this, but basically was like, "Yo, say it to my face, punk." So, in the news the other day, Mr. McCain has essentially said, "Oh yeah, I'll say it to his face." And once again, because the poll numbers are going the way they're going, Mr. McCain needs to do something to try to turn this around. This might be the most aggressive of the debates. They might really go after each other, because if Mr. McCain, which is his right to do, wishes to attack on the basis of character and attack on the basis of people that Mr. Obama has any association with. Mr. Obama has, I'm not particularly freaked out by him, but let's face it, bad reputation pastor for some things that he said in the pulpit, though there's no evidence that Mr. Obama was there in the church on the days he did this. Mr. McCain has his association with kind of crazy, freaky dude John Hagee, who is a pastor who has some pretty extreme views I don't think most people hold. If Mr. McCain would like to bring up Mr. Ayers, who did some things in the 60s that were criminal acts, as I understand, he's alleged to have done that. He's never been put in prison for it. It's easy to find, okay? He works with many conservative Republicans. If he was a terrorist, they would not work with him. Mr. McCain has his association with G. Gordon Liddy, who at one point publicly said, if the president says to do it, it's legal, even if it's murder people. Now, that's not a quote from his, but that's something that he said. And it included the idea that he could kill the enemies of the president if the president said to do it. Now, that's not really constitutional, but that is a feeling towards authority that has been around for thousands of years. So the bottom line is this: at tonight's debate, maybe the gloves are going to come off, because what Mr. Obama has demonstrated is that if you talk some stuff at him, he will bring it back. So Mr. McCain has said, this time I will bring the heat, so to speak, of this line of attack. If he does that, that will force Mr. Obama to respond. So instead of seeing a bunch of things where they ask a guy a question, so what do you think about the economy? And then they come up with some completely different political statement, they might actually be going at each other, and not that that's great, but we might see what kind of thing they're about. We might see the guy that supposedly has the bad temper explode, or maybe not show any bad temper. We might see the guy whose reputation is that he's the cool, calm, collected individual absolutely blow a gasket. We might see one of them pull their belt buckle off, and then like blades will come out of it, and they'll throw it, and they'll chop the other guy's head off, and they'll catch it. But I didn't do anything. I don't know how that happened. Well, I've seen the movie Guyver, right? The Guyver, he's got the thing. Don't you even watch movies? Come on. Anyway, that's an old movie from the 80s, but it should be as interesting a debate as we're ever going to get, and actually it is, because it's the last one. When the sun comes up tomorrow morning, there are 19 campaigning days left before the big election. So the numbers have been trending down for the Republicans. They want to turn it around. This is Mr. McCain's last biggest chance. The last debate had a bigger audience than the Super Bowl in America.
Hi, Sammy. Sammy. Hi.
I am a toothpick ninja.